Good golly, it's raining outside. I'm Dave Martinez, and thanks for tuning in for another edition of What's Coming Up Next. All right, so I had the privilege of talking with Lili after the yoga class yesterday, Monday, 7:15 p.m. Great classes. She answered some questions in a really thoughtful and meaningful way. Thank you for tuning in. Here it is. And I'm here with Lili, my Monday night yoga instructor. Let me get a little bit closer to you if you don't mind. And also, Chewy is off screen to my right. If he so chooses to join the conversation, he can. So I appreciate you taking the time, Lili, to talk a little bit about yoga, talk a little bit about your passion, and maybe we can start off with your background on how you found yoga.
Okay, so I found yoga at a really low point in my life. I was looking for community and I was looking to move my body. And I kept biking past a little yoga studio that was in the Heights, and I just went in. I took some classes, I fell in love, and then eventually I was working there, and then eventually I took the teacher training, and that was almost 7 or 8 years ago. So yes, I've been teaching ever since, except for a little while during the pandemic, and I just really love it. I love teaching new people, I love teaching experienced people, and I just love the community that comes with yoga a lot of times.
That's awesome. And you're such a great teacher. You do an awesome job of delivering instruction that's easy for beginners to understand, but that pushes people that have been coming to your classes to keep focus on their technique and their breathing. For sure. So you spoke a little bit about how you got closer to yoga. When did you know you fell in love with it?
I knew I fell in love with it when I kept finding myself progressing more and more, and it started to melt away the other things in my life that were not necessarily directly related to yoga, but that were made better because of yoga. So I was more overweight than I had been previously in my life when I started yoga, and whenever I started to get more fit because of the yoga, I started to get more motivated to do it. It's like cyclical, like you just want to do more because it did what it was supposed to do. But on top of that, I found myself with more breath capacity. I found myself being more calm in situations that would normally make me angry, like driving down the road. Mm-hmm. And that isn't necessarily directly linked to yoga, but I would say that my yoga practice and the fact that I learned to be mindful and use my breath to control my emotions and my frustrations helped me in all the other areas of my life. So I think that's how and why I fell in love with it. And again, the fact that most yoga studios come with a built-in community that if you really try, you can immerse yourself into, and it's a lovely place to be with. You can find friends who are non-judgmental, friends who will encourage you and push you, and I just think that the community that builds around it, plus you hitting your goals over and over again, are just things that make you want to keep coming back.
Absolutely. I tell Chewy all the time, it's the people that bring this space to life for me. We're at the rock climbing gym, and it's truly that, because if not, I would get frustrated. I would feel like, okay, I don't have what it takes. I would think that I would need to go do something else to train to go do the thing. But when I see my peers doing it, and then you kind of get the vision of that it can be, then you start to believe it. At least you can get that spark in there. Mm-hmm. And also sometimes you show up here without any sort of energy, not feeling at all in your body, and it rubs off on you. Like the energy you see around you rubs off, mm-hmm. and can get a little bit of a shift, right, in the way we're thinking, the way we're feeling in our body. And you mentioned words like you didn't say intention, but you did say what was it? Started with an M.
Mindfulness. So I do generally say intention, like I do ask usually for the students to set intentions for themselves for class. And so this is a good tip for beginners. When a teacher asks you to set an intention, essentially what they're saying is they want you to hold something in your mind. It could be a sentence like, I'm going to be kind to myself today, or it could be just a word that you repeat over and over again, like breathe. So in the first instance, you would be watching your mind for thoughts that like if something comes into your head and you didn't go into a pose as deeply as you wanted to, instead of saying, oh man, I didn't do it as well as I did yesterday, be kind to yourself. Say something like, this feels really good, I'm going to stop here and breathe into this pose. And just kindness to yourself in that intention. And then in the other instance, setting an intention with breath, it's just like repeating to yourself, breath, 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 so that you remember your breath the whole time. So that setting an intention is just like setting a goal, setting a little focus, and anytime that a teacher asks for that, that's all that they're asking for. And a lot of times a teacher will ask the entire class to set an intention that she's pre-selected, which I really like a lot, because there are a lot of people who are like, I don't even know what an intention is, or their mind goes blank and then they're struggling through that.
They get distracted.
Yeah. So sometimes it's good for a teacher to set the intention for the class. Other things that I like to let beginners know is everybody was once a beginner. So if it's your first time in class and you hear the teacher call out a pose and everybody moves into the pose like that, and you're just like, what? How does everybody know that word? Everybody didn't know that word. There was once a day when they were also looking around going, what did she just say? So the more you do these things, the more it becomes second nature, and you'll hear the words and you'll do the poses just like everybody else. If you really are nervous about it, take some at-home classes. Go on the internet and just Google beginner yoga, or Google a Sun A, and just do that over and over and over again, and get your body moving, and then get brave and come to class and share space with people.
Oh my gosh, I appreciate that, and that's the tale of a good teacher. You know, you're bringing people in. You know, community is a big part of what you're doing here, Lili. Like, you have a following, you have people that show up here week in, week out, and how does it feel to be making such an impact in the lives of your students?
I feel grateful that I get to see people progress and get better. It makes me happy to help people find a little boost of confidence in themselves, or to challenge themselves a little bit more. It makes me really happy when people come back. It makes me excited when people ask me for advice on poses for their specific body, or for suggestions for the next class, because it helps me to get my wheels turning on what people need, because I can only teach and feel my own body, but whenever students come to me with the differences that maybe I've never experienced, it helps me. So it's a back and forth. So the students help me a lot with it, and I think that's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And if anyone's considering maybe furthering their journey in yoga, maybe they're thinking about becoming a teacher or doing one of these study programs, what would you recommend to those individuals?
I would recommend to go to the classes of the people who you want to learn from, and make sure that it aligns with your values. Make sure that it aligns with the style of yoga that you want to teach, because there's lots of different styles. So if you are interested in becoming an instructor, learn from somebody who you would like to eventually be like. Does that make sense? So you wouldn't want to take a class from somebody who you've never experienced what their their teaching style is like. So my biggest recommendation is just to know what you're getting into. There are hundreds of yoga schools out there, and some are better than others, and that doesn't mean that they're better than others for everybody. That just means that for my taste, these are better than others, and for your taste, that might be different. So check them out, explore them, ask a billion questions, and then take a leap.
It's always scary to take the plunge over the cliff, I like to say, and try something new. But it's exciting and rewarding when you do. And this class is so good. just like many of the other classes throughout the week here at the gym, I know I specifically go to Asia's class and Ashley's class on Wednesday. I can't miss a Lili class on Monday, but yeah, it's also interesting the diversity of instructors that we have at the gym, and each one of them brings a style and a purpose to the yoga that they teach their students. Do you have any message to the other teachers in general?
To the other teachers for here
at this
from
gym,
Memento?
yeah.
Yes, I would love to meet just even one of you guys. I have never met any of the other instructors here. We all work on different nights, and it kind of saddens me that it's harder for me to get here because I live so far away, but I'm going to try to start coming to the classes of other teachers so that we can all get to know each other and support each other. I know that some of them have subbed classes for me, and I've still never even met them so that I could say thank you in person. So my goal for myself is to start going to the other classes during the week and getting to know the teachers and the styles so that when students ask me questions, I can speak to it. And I hope that other teachers will do the same, and then we can just start being friends.
Why not? We could just be friends. Yes, ma'am. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me. And, if you ever have an idea that you just want to get out into the world, I hope that that we can showcase it here.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Lili.
Thanks, Chewy.
Thanks. Would you like to add anything, Chewy?